Who by Dr. Seuss. Horton Hears a Who by Dr. Seuss. Random House, New York. From my great friend, Miss Jugi Nakamura of Kyoto, Japan. On the 15th of May, in the jungle of Newell, in the heat of the day, in the cool of the pool, he was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joys, when Horton the elephant heard a small noise. So Horton stopped splashing. He looked toward the sound. "That's funny," thought Horton. "There's no one around." Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp, as if some tiny person were calling for help. "I'll help you," said Horton, "but who are you? Where?" He looked and he looked. He could see nothing there but a small speck of dust blowing past through the air. "I say," murmured Horton, "I've never heard tell of a small speck of dust that is able to yell. So you know what I think?" "Why, I think that there must be someone on top of that small speck of dust. Some sort of creature of very small size, too small to be seen by an elephant's eyes. Some poor little person who's shaking with fear that he'll blow in the pool he has no way to steer. I'll just have to save him, because after all, a person's a person, no matter how small." So, gently and using the greatest of care, the elephant stretched his great trunk through the air. He lifted the dust speck and carried it over and placed it down safe on a very soft clover. "Hump!" hummed a voice. It was a sour kangaroo, and the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Hump, too. Why, that speck is as small as the head of a pin. A person on that, why, there never has been." "Believe me," said Horton, "I tell you significantly. My ears are quite keen, and I heard him quite clearly. I know there's a person down there, and what's more, quite likely there's two, even three, even four, quite likely a family for all that we know. A family with children just starting to grow. So please," Horton said, "as a favor to me, try not to disturb them. Just please let them be." "I think you're a fool," laughed the sour kangaroo, and the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me too. You're the biggest blameful in the jungle of Newell." "What?" "Newell." And the kangaroos plunged in the cool of the pool. And the kangaroos plunged in the cool of the What terribly splashing! The elephant frowned. I can't let my very small persons get drowned. I have to protect them. I am bigger than they. So he plucked up the clover and hustled away. Through the high jungle treetops, the news quickly spread. He talks to a dust speck. He's out of his head. Just look at him walk with that speck on that flower. And Horton walked worrying almost an hour. Should I put the speck down? Horton thought with alarm. If I do, these small persons might come to great harm. I can put it down, and I won't. After all, a person's a person, no matter how small. Then Horton stopped walking. The speck voice was talking. The voice was so faint he could just barely hear it. Speak up, please, said Horton. He put his ear near. My friend, came the voice. You're a very fine friend. You helped all us folks in this dust bank. No end. You save all our houses, our ceilings and floors. You save all our churches and grocery stores. That's the dust bank. You mean, Horton gasped? You have buildings there too? Oh yes, piped the voice. We most certainly do. I know, called a voice. I'm too small to be seen. But I'm mayor of town that is friendly and clean. Our buildings to you would seem terribly small. But to us who aren't big, they are wonderfully tall. My town is called Whoville, for I am a Who. And we Whos are thankful and grateful to you. And Horton called back to the mayor of the town. You're safe now, don't worry. I won't let you down. But just as he spoke to the mayor of the speck, three big jungle monkeys climbed up Horton's neck. The elephants talking the Whos they aren't any Whos. They don't have a mayor. And we're going to stop all this nonsense, so there. They snatched Horton's clover. They carried it off to a black-bottom eagle named Vlad Ionoff, a mighty strong eagle of very swift wing. And they said, will you kindly get rid of this thing? And before the bird and the elephant could even could speak, that eagle flew off with the flower in his beak. And all that late afternoon and far into the night, the black-bottomed bird flapped his wings in fast flight. While Horton chased after it with groans over stones that tattered his toenails and battered his bones, and begged, please don't harm all of my little folks who have much right to live as us bigger folks do. But far, far beyond him, that eagle kept flapping, and over his shoulder came back quite your yapping. Quit your yapping. I'll fly night through. I'm a bird. I don't mind it, and I'll hide this tomorrow where you'll never find it. And at 6:56 the next morning, he did it. It sure was a, and at 56 the next morning, he did it. It sure was a terribly place that he hid it. He let that small clover drop somewhere inside of that great patch of clover. It's 100 miles wide. Find that, sneered the bird. But I think you'll fail. And he left with a flip on his black bottom tail. find it, cried Horton. I'll find it or bust. I shall find my friends in my small speck of dust. And clover by clover with care, he picked up and searched them and called, "Are you there?" But clover by clover he found that one that he sought was was just not around. And by noon poor old Horton, more dead than alive, had picked, searched, and piled up 9,005. Then, on through the afternoon, hour after hour, till he found them at last on the 3 millionth flower. "My friends," cried the elephant, "tell me, do tell, are you safe? Are you sound? Are you whole? Are you well?" From down the speck came the voice of the mayor. "We really had trouble, much more than our share. When that black-bottomed birdie let go and we dropped, we landed so hard that our clocks have all stopped. Our teapots are broken, our rocking chairs smashed, and our bicycle tires are all blew up when we crashed. So Horton, please us, that voice of the mayor's, will you stick by us who's while we are making repairs?" "Of course," Horton answered. "Of course I will stick. I'll stick by you small folks, through thin and through thick." Hummed the voice. "For almost 2 days you run wild and stupid on chatting with persons who never existed. Such carrying on in our peaceable jungle. We had quite enough of your bellowing bungle. And I'm here to state," snapped the big kangaroo, "that your silly nonsensical game is all through." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me too." With the help of the Wickham brothers and dozens of Wickerson uncles and Wickerson cousins and Wickerson in-laws will help I've engaged, you're going to be roped, you're going to be caged. You're going to be roped and you're going to be caged. And as for your dustback, have that we should boil in a hot steaming kettle of beesnut oil."
You missed one.
Boil it, gasped Horton. "Oh, you can do. Oh, that you can do. It's all full of persons. They'll prove it to you." Mr. Mayor, Horton called. "Mr. Mayor, you've got to prove now that you really are there. So call a big meeting, get everyone out, make every who holler, make every who shout, make every who scream. If you don't, every who is gonna end up in a beetle-nut stew." And down on the dustback, the scared little mayor quick called a big meeting in Whoville Town Square, and his people cried loudly. They cried out in fear, "We are here! We are here! We are here! We are here!" The elephant smiled. "That was clear as a bell. You kangaroo surely heard that very well." "All I heard," snapped the big kangaroo, "was the breeze and the faint sound of wind through the far distant trees. I heard no small voices, and you didn't either." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me neither." "Grab him," they shouted, "and cage the big dope. Lasso his stomach with 10 miles of rope. Tie the nuts tight so he'll never shake loose. Then dunk the big dumpsback in the beetle-nut juice." Horton fought back with great vigor and vim, but the Wickerson gang was too many for him. They beat him, they mauled him, they started to haul him into his cage, but the But he managed to call to the mayor, "Don't give up. I believe in you all. A person's a person, no matter how small. And you very small persons will not have to die if you make yourselves heard, so come on now and try." The mayor grabbed the tom-tom. He started to smack it. And all over Whoville, they whooped up the racket. They rattled the kettles. They beat on brass pans, and garbage pail tops, and old cranberry cans. They blew on boozacas and blasted great toots on clarinets, pahas, and boom pass and flutes. Great guts of loud racket rang high through the air. They rattled and shook the whole sky. And the mayor called up through the howling and hula-bee, "Hey, Horton, how's this? Is our sound coming through?" And Horton called back, I can hear you just fine, but the kangaroo's ears aren't as strong quite as mine. They don't hear a thing. Are you sure all your boys are doing their best? Are they all making noise? Are you sure every who down at Who Village is working? Quick, look to your town. Is there anyone singing? Through the town rushed the mayor from east to the west, but everyone seemed to be doing their best. Everyone seemed to be yapping or yipping. Everyone seemed to be beeping or bipping. But it wasn't enough. All his workers and work, he had to find someone to help him make more. He raced through each building. He searched floor to floor. And just as he felt he was getting nowhere and almost about to give up in despair, he suddenly burst through a door, and that mayor discovered a stranger, quite hidden away in the far-flung apartment 12 minus J. A very small shrinker named Jojo was standing and bouncing a yo-yo, not making a sound, not a yip, not a chirp. And the mayor rushed inside and grabbed the young truck. And he climbed with the lad up every building tower. "This," cried the mayor, "is your town's darkest hour. This time for all who's to have blood that is red, to come on in the aid of their country," he said. "We got to make noisy in greater amounts. So you open your mouth, lad, for every voice counts." Thus he spoke and climbed. When they got to the top, the lad cleared his throat and shouted out, "Yup!" And that yup, that one small extra yup, put it over. Finally, at last, from that speck on that clover, their voices were heard. They rang out clear and clean, and the elephants wailed, "Do you see what I mean? They prove they are persons, no matter how small. And the whole world was saved by the smallest of all." How true, yes, how true, the big kangaroo. And from now on, you know what I'm planning to do. From now on, I'm going to protect them with you. The young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me too! From sun in the summer, from rain when it's fall-ish. I'm going to protect them no matter how small-ish."
The end.
The end.